I'm Vengeance. Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk, and this is my review for The Batman. Oh, what an experience! You have to watch this in the cinema. If you don't take anything else from this video review, please do take that. Do go watch it in a good cinema, as it really is a cinematic experience. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of this review, as always guys, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and please do consider subscribing, as those are the two main ways you can help support my channel right here at Adlib Talk. Cheers, and now let's get right into that review.
Police! Hands up! Stay still! Get out of here!
So, The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, famous for directing the second and third Planet of the Apes reboot movies, as well as the first Cloverfield movie. He wrote the screenplay with Peter Craig, and it stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and obviously Batman, alongside Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright, John Turturro, Peter Sarsgaard, Andy Serkis, and Colin Farrell. Let's put it this way. Long gone are the days of bat nipples and the bat credit cards. The Batman is as serious as it gets. To give you a perfect description of this movie, imagine what David Fincher would have done if he got a hold onto this franchise. Indeed, if you have watched movies like Seven and Zodiac, you will instantly notice how much Fincher inspires Reeves, and this is film noir at its best. There is a lot of good to talk about here, but also some small annoyances which will unfortunately stop this movie from being a clear 5 out of 5. Let's start by talking about the plot. So, Batman has been fighting crime in Gotham for around 2 years now. We start off with Pattinson narrating the basic setup for us, and I loved this aspect. It is Halloween, and Gotham City Mayor Don Mitchell Jr. has just been murdered by a serial killer who calls himself the Riddler. Batman joins Gordon and the rest of the GCPD in their investigation until they discover a message for bats. This is only the beginning, as in their pursuit for the Riddler, who continues hunting for Gotham's most powerful, influential, but most importantly, corrupt figures, Batman discovers the incredible level of corruption present in Gotham City. So the narrative is excellent throughout. I thought the plot moved well, and despite how long the movie is, it's 3 hours, never felt the length too much, as I was always engrossed in what was going on screen. The plot itself will have you guessing, and a number of plot twists are anything but predictable. The movie moves, as I said, like a detective murder mystery, and for the most part, Batman is more a detective than some super powerful action hero. In fact, cutting the last half hour out, this is the least superhero-like I've personally ever seen Batman. I am so glad Matt Reeves decided to cut out all connections with the DCEU and instead focused on Batman's detective side, with animated movies like The Long Halloween proving to be excellent inspirations for the goings on in this movie. Some people have criticized the movie for its length. Like I said, it is very, very long, 2 hours and 50 something minutes long. And to be perfectly honest, I never felt like it was too long, except for maybe a little bit near the end, as every character had their plot lines conclude, and the movie does start to flounder just a little bit, and I will admit, start to feel a little restless at the end. Performances are one of the highlights of this movie. I thought Pattinson was brilliant as the Caped Crusader. He takes a very dark and moody approach to the role. His opening scene confirmed my feelings that Pattinson would prove to be an excellent Batman, but we'll talk about his Bruce Wayne interpretation in a little bit. So in one of the best scenes of the movie, we see the introduction to Batman, and we start to see different crimes taking place around Gotham City. Then, in one particular crime taking place in a metro, we see Batman take on a number of thugs. You instantly can feel the anger, both in the punches, but most importantly in his eyes. Pattinson does a lot of acting through his eyes, and this is perfect for this role, given that he spends most of the time with a mask on. This is the kind of Batman who will charge in head first into fights, and he does take a lot of hits. There are multiple times when Batman is shot at and hit, or else takes punches and hit by melee weapons. His body is a mess, and one wonders how long Bruce Wayne can last with this approach. But for what it's worth, it all works really well and fits the tone of this movie perfectly. His loud footsteps become an iconic sound as he declares his approach to the many criminals he takes on throughout the movie. This is a Bruce Wayne whose real self is shown when he is in his costume. The Bruce Wayne portrayed by Pattinson is a man who is suffering and definitely does not appear to be anywhere close to sane. Although, to be fair, how can someone who dresses like a bat ever be sane? So do not expect a Bruce Wayne similar to the ones we got in The Dark Knight, where we got scenes where he walks in and he declares he's about to purchase the whole restaurant. There's nothing like that here. I personally enjoyed it, but maybe for future Batman movies, a more multifaceted approach to the character could help. Zoe Kravitz's take on Catwoman is also great. I really enjoyed how she approached the character. She is the one that kind of pushes forward the idea that yes, the city is ruled by the powerful rich white men, and she's not scared to get her hands dirty, both to find out what happened to her friend, but also as payback to the suffering the people of Gotham have to face due to the corrupt elite. Paul Dano as the very creepy Riddler was the perfect casting choice for that role. If anyone had seen Prisoners, you will instantly know what to expect here. He takes the Zodiac Killer type of approach as he is fixated with ciphers and leaving clues for the police. Dano himself is actually quite a scary presence throughout the movie, through especially his voice, although it does get a little weird when he starts to scream, make these high-pitched sounds kind of. Andy Serkis as Alfred was good, although he didn't have much to do, and the same can be said for Colin Farrell as Penguin. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these characters in the sequels and possibly in the series that will be coming out on HBO Max. However, my personal favorite performance in this movie was that by Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. He's a constant presence throughout the movie and gives in one heck of a performance. It sometimes feels like he is the one carrying the weight of Gotham City and the GCPD on his shoulders, and he is the one person Batman can trust to help him. The same could be said for Gordon himself. Visually, the movie is stunning. Reeves has approached this movie in a neo-noir style with a very, very dark color palette, which, however, let's go with some beautifully bright colors, especially in some of the nightclub scenes, or when Batman, for example, lights a flare. So there's scenes like these beautiful, which break the darkness and the kind of black and dark color palette. There are scenes like this in which you just have to appreciate the beautiful cinematography work by Greg Fraser. Every scene here is a painting, and Gotham is a character in itself, probably the most significant character here. This is a city that feels lived in, and just like in Joker, you could imagine a lot of crime taking place in this Gotham. The action is beautifully portrayed. There isn't too much, but when there is action, it is shot beautifully. Some scenes that stuck to my mind were the opening scene, which I have already described, a particular action scene which was shot in the dark, but you have these certain bouts of action which are seen through the light from gunfire. So beautiful to see. And I must also mention what is, in my opinion, the best scene of the whole movie, which was the Batmobile scene, which leads into a car chase after Penguin. From the introduction to the Batmobile, through the whole chase, until finally we see Batman walking up to Penguin's car, I had goosebumps. I couldn't put into words how much I enjoyed that scene. You just have to watch it in the cinema to truly experience how good it is. Now, tonally, the movie is a dark and moody film, and the music does an excellent job in pushing for that too. Michael Giacchino does an excellent job here, and the Batman theme is one of the most beautiful I have ever heard due to the amount of emotions it portrays. There is the darkness portrayed throughout the movie, the crescendo in the music, bringing out the pure epicness of the character, but yet there is also a touch of hope, which we see come out in the final 30 minutes of this movie. And I need to talk about the final 30 to 40 minutes of this movie. So, up to the 2-hour mark, I was confident that this movie would be a 10 out of 10. But then the movie took quite a strong tonal and thematic shift, and we see what was once a detective movie turn into more of a superhero movie. And this is where the movie started to lose me a little bit. I thought the action sequences here were a little weak compared to just how good the rest of the action was in the movie. And I thought that, for example, certain characters should have died, and them surviving felt like a bit of a cop-out, but ultimately the fact that the movie ends with the theme of hope really did not work for me, and I expected the movie end in a much bleaker fashion. It does kind of have a happy ending in a certain way, and that didn't fit well with me personally. But overall, The Batman is an excellent first attempt by Matt Reeves and Pattinson, and I am already looking forward to seeing more of what they can offer in the coming sequels. With brilliant performances, a well-written and presented narrative, beautiful visuals and action, some of the best cinematography I have recently seen, and an excellent, brooding soundtrack, The Batman definitely deserves a 4.5 out of 5 and my recommendation for everyone to watch. Just be careful if you are taking kids to the cinema, as some of the scenes showcased can be a little disturbing.
I got you! I got you!
Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that review. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video, and please do consider subscribing. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Adlib Talk.